I'm not very good at thinning these for airbrushes. Like I say, you should be thinning these in a little pot rather than just pouring them into the bowl and hoping life finds a way. Well, mixing up that purple went impressively badly. I've not seen a clog that bad in a while. It just was not moving at all. I haven't used that paint in the airbrush before, and I guess it really does require some pre-mixing, so I've done that this time. And now I have it in a fancy little pipette, which I'll pour daintily into my airbrush in the hopes that it forgives me. Okay, hopefully this is going to be thin enough, because that was my issue. Or thick enough. I wanted it to be thicker. We're entering that phase of the process where everything begins to go wrong, but posy vibes. Okay, so while avoiding flying into a rage, I put a little extra of our high flow blue. Well, I used the red shade, and what's funny is it looks less red than the non-red shade one to me. But I just didn't think that Vallejo paint was bright enough. So now I've got this nice sort of like blue base. I've got a bit of the purple mid-tone as well, and then this fluorescent pink. I'll probably do one more layer of the fluorescent pink over the top, just for fun. But I'm now really getting a bit more involved than I should. This is the opposite of lazy bodging. This is too much. And then I also went and just sort of redid the undercoat in this more blue for the other one. So now we're moving on to the volcanic scheme undercoat, which I think I will just do fiery. The thing with the pink guy is that he's going to be green. So this is a way of doing an undercoat, not the basic color. Probably the most efficient thing to do is to just pick the color that's most there, or that's either difficult to paint by hand, and do that instead. But I'm trying to pick out some details. But for this guy, I will go with a flamey scheme. Okay, now which of these yellows? Like what color is fire? I'm going to go with the brightest one, because we want it to be zenithal. So we want a nice bright color on top. Helpful to remember to take the cap off. Like I say, I haven't really been using these paints before. They seem nice though. Trying to use that Vallejo purple really reminded me that it's nice to have specialist airbrush paints. Vallejo do have specialist airbrush paints. I just find they're not. Most of these other paints you can use for either hand brushing or airbrushing, whereas I don't find the Vallejo airbrush paints that useful for hand brushing, and to be honest, they need thinning as well going into the airbrush. So it's like, well, I might as well just struggle to thin the hand ones. Yeah, I'll take you out in a bit, Bob, talking to that boy. I'm not the one making tuna, though, so I don't know why he's bothering me. No, I should have asked for some tuna. What a fool. The underside is very blue, but I kind of like that. Might just do the face a bit low. If you spray from sort of a distance and just a little bit, it creates kind of diffuse spray that doesn't really ruin the highlights, but does give it a little bit of shading. Also, yeah, I like these golden flow paints. I need many, many more of them. I haven't had to really mess around with the airbrush at all with them. But now that I've remembered that tuna exists, I might go see if there's any tuna going for Jack, and whether I could use my ability to pick up things off of high places to get some tuna. And also it means I can pick up a fluorescent yellow that I've got to finish off the top of this. But yeah, looking flamey, I like it. Tuna acquired. So I'll go do that in a minute. Let's just finish this filler off. One thing I might also do if I can be bothered, and I really should have remembered to bring up the varnish, is I'll do a matte varnish layer to get the finish all correct for these, because the only downside to these nice golden high flow acrylics is that they are random finish. So it'd be nice to get all of that looking right, and that'll also make it look a bit better if I take a picture of it if it's nice and matte. I do have this ultra matte varnish, which is very nice, very, very matte, but I find that sometimes that makes the paint schemes look not so good. Basically because it picks out my mistakes. If there's a little bit of shine to something, that shine is quite forgiving. You get a natural sort of blending of the highlights that you get from light. I shouldn't mix up what yellow I'm doing, but I might use the other yellow for fun. No, yeah, that's looking nice. Although I think I thinned it down a little too much, so you can see the light color is collecting in the cracks on the scales. I'm not sure that's coming out so good on the video, but it actually looks really nice for like a lava effect with kind of the cracks glowing, which isn't really what I'm going for, but it does mean that possibly it'll pick out the dark scales if I keep any of this color on the dragon, and I think it'll work quite well with the armor. Having said that, I'm going to go over with one final layer of undiluted yellow, the lighter yellow that we used at the start. Now let's potentially mess everything up and finish it off with a little bit of fluorescence, because I like the fluorescence. And so zenithal, this is all about the angle of the brush, so I'm trying to come down basically from the top here. What I can also do obviously is just pick up the mini with my actual hands, like a human, rather than a Bigfoot. Nice, so now with 10 minutes camera time spare, I'm gonna clean the airbrush out and varnish these models. Alright, so eagle-eyed viewers might have noticed that I have lightened the top shade on the pink one. I really like the way the solid fluorescent looks, but it's not actually a particularly useful zenithal layer. We want it to have a very bright highlight so that you can kind of see the shade transitions. So I'm going to varnish them. With all these steps, a lot of time should be taken between them so that the paint can fully dry and cure. When it just looks dry or is touch dry, it's not actually cured, and curing is a chemical process where it becomes solid. However, we like to bodge it. So I haven't done that. I'm just going to apply this varnish over the top. I would hope that would be all right. If you're having the varnish be the final layer, so if I'd finished the color scheme, then I would want to actually give them the proper amount of time, which is basically a whole day. But if you're just painting on top, it doesn't seem to make much difference to me. If you're just, using it as one of many layers, they're basically just solid acrylic anyway. So just having it be dry is fine, which is why I think the hairdryer is such a good invention. I'm not sure what they invented it for, but it's excellent for drying paint. And I'm going to use this AK Ultra Matte varnish. AK do a lot of nice sort of technical stuff. I haven't actually tried their regular paints. I think they have them, I'm not even sure. Sprayed that all over my trousers, but that's fine. They'll just be very matte. And then dilute it with a little bit of water and just give these chaps or chapettes a nice coat. Normally I'd use this other big bottle of matte varnish I have that doesn't actually finish matte. It finishes satin, because satin is kind of a nice finish. I definitely need to use the extractor for this. Satin gives you a little bit of shine still, and I find that going ultra matte like this, it really does go super matte, and that can kind of make the mistakes on your paint job stand out more, because the light isn't kind of naturally blending them. But for certain schemes, it looks really cool. For grungy schemes, I think, in particular, it looks really nice. And I think, but I'm not sure, that it might make pictures of them look nicer. I'm kind of new to all this video and photography stuff, so I'm going to try that. If it messes it up, oh well. It's just there to bring the finish all to the same level, because we got some bits are shiny. I think we can probably still see, yeah, the bottom of this is much shinier than the top. The top kind of has a nice satin finish now with all the various layers. But let's see what happens when we make them super matte. Don't want to overdo it, so we don't dry them. See what that does. Now, the thing with varnish is you should absolutely never touch it before it's dry. So we're doing that, obviously. We're watching it. Just give me a little touch again. That wheel can stay off. It doesn't want to. We're permissive about wheels here. Okay, so I think we're done for now. That took longer than it needed to do. Probably I could have just done a blue and a pink with a bit of white on the top. And I could have just done blue, red, yellow. But where's the fun in that? And we'll see at the end of these schemes whether any of this needed to be done at all. But that's kind of the fun, is figuring out how to efficiently paint a scheme. Once you've figured out what it is you want, it will take you much, much, much less time, because you'll figure out all the steps you never needed to do. And this is just about having fun, using my new paints, showing you some zenithal highlighting techniques. I think for something like these flame patterns, it can look really nice. And for these like transitions with fluorescent colors, it can look really good. So I'm going to leave that for a while, stop touching it, and I'll take some pictures of them. Once they're dry, you'll be able to see all the mistakes I've made in my finishing, and then we'll actually put a brush to them. Because like I say, one of the ways you can do it, and probably what I will end up doing if I mass producing these, is painting out the main colors with the airbrush rather than doing this undercoating technique. That's just much faster and more efficient. But I wanted to see what these undercoats would do, and I wanted to play around a little bit and show you some wacky things you can do, like, you know, painting a whole model pink when there's not really going to be any pink on the model. Hopefully that will pay off. And if it didn't, you got to see some zenithaling and some messing around with the airbrush. So I'm going to go take the dog out for a walk. Then I'm going to eat some delicious tuna that Mrs. Sassenach has prepared for me. With 30 seconds left on my camera to spare, thank you very much.
So it's still us then? Should he still be using us? That's laziness if you ask me. Someone with all that talent should be performing at a much higher level.
Technically this is within the rules, as this is a single video split into, as we say, a game of two halves, to not be so long that inattentive viewers would tune out.
Right, but what about my accent? Where am I even supposed to be from?
A region. It's a regional accent.
What region?
Speaking of regions, if you, kind viewer, move your attention to the region of the screen in which the like, subscribe, and bell icons are visible. They are interactable. You can click on them.
Right, pick up some models while you're at it. Whatever region you're from, kids who need wheelchairs should probably have them. Hang on, where's those links? I can't see them.
In the bio and in the video description. Simply scroll down. Perhaps for the moment, the links are simply offside of your screen.
Oh, a belter like that in the last second of the game. You'll be happy with that one.